Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Further Beyond Gaming, and welcome back to another Genshin Impact video. So when speaking about main DPSs, they are all usually pretty similar, right? Stay out on the field and do that big PP damage and just fold the enemies like an absolute lawn chair. Now with that type of playstyle, they all usually have something else in common, and that is most, if not all, DPSs are pretty selfish for the most part when it comes to their gameplay, team build, and what they require as a whole, right? So take Xiao for example, and not to pick on him specifically, but he is new and he is pretty selfish DPS. Xiao wants to be out on the field the whole time. He needs other team members to support him in the aspect of energy recharge or healing, and he does not support the other team members really in any way, outside of maybe swirling and getting some elemental reactions off. Once again, not to pick on Zhao because that is most, if not all, main DPSs, and rightfully so. That is their job and that is what they are supposed to do. Nothing wrong with that at all. Now with that being said, this is where Hu Tao is a bit different, and in this video I am going to go into the reasons why Hu Tao is a main DPS but not a selfish one like the others whatsoever. Let's go ahead and hop right into it. So why do I say Hu Tao is different, and why do I say that Hu Tao is not going to be a selfish main DPS? Well, it really lies all within her kit and how you're going to utilize her from a gameplay standpoint. So when you take a look at her kit, specifically pertaining to her elemental skill, passive skill, and constellations, if you plan on going that far with Hu Tao, there are some supporting capabilities there that allow her to not only support the team members, but allow you to rotate her based on how her kit is, and allow you to rotate her with other team members. Whereas with other DPSs like Diluc and like Xiao and Razor for example, you mainly want to keep them out on the field and let them just do damage and not really rotate them out too often, unless it's to go ahead and support them in some type of way, but not really necessarily for supporting the team. So what we're going to take a look at first with Hu Tao is her elemental skill, move on to her passive skill, and then her constellations, and then we'll go ahead and bring it all together so you can get a good idea of how you're going to want to utilize her and play her from a gameplay standpoint. So her elemental skill, the Paramita Papilio, we all know what that does up until this point. Pretty much transforms Hu Tao, converts her attack damage to pyro damage, and allows her to go ahead and apply the Blood Blossom effect with her charge attack, and gives her increased resistance to interruption, which is all very, very good stuff. And that's all very selfish because that's all towards Hu Tao. But where she benefits from this is within her passive, where she then is able to support the other team members on your team. And what I mean by that is, if we take a look at her first passive, which is Flutter By, when Paramita Papilio state activated by Guide to Afterlife is over, all allies in the party, excluding Hu Tao herself, will have their crit rate increased by 12% for 8 seconds. This is extremely important because it plays into how you're going to rotate Hu Tao in and out and allow her to not only support the team, but not be a selfish main DPS. So the crit rate is increased by 12% for 8 seconds. If we take a look at her passive skill, her elemental skill, Paramita Papilio, if you take a look at the duration, it's 9 seconds, and if you take a look at the cooldown, it is 16 seconds. So for 9 seconds, when you pop that elemental skill for 9 seconds, you're going to have Hu Tao out there doing Hu Tao things, putting up big numbers and doing a lot of damage and applying that Blood Blossom effect. You're basically going to be utilizing her for what you want her to do for those 9 seconds. Now when those 9 seconds are over, you're going to want to switch her out into a different team member because there is a 16-second cooldown. So there's going to be 7 seconds where she is not going to be all that useful because her attack spike or her damage spike is no longer going to be there because the duration is over. So you're going to want to switch her out, but it plays into her kit so really well because when you switch her out, the other party members, because now Paramita Papilio state is gone, her other party members are going to have their crit rate increased by 12% for those 8 seconds. So for those 8 seconds when Hu Tao's out, your other party members are going to have their crit rate increase. But once those 8 seconds are over, you can then immediately bring Hu Tao back because guess what? Her Paramita Papilio is back up. You can pop that once again and start it all over, start the rotation all over once again. So that is where she is not a selfish main DPS. She is able to go ahead and do what main DPSs do. She then switches out, allows her other party members to be able to have their crit rate increase. Now keep in mind, albeit I understand crit rate increasing is not all that great, but it's something to add while she's not there. It gives a little incentive to rotate, right? It's something there. It's better than nothing, I should say. And when you have the other party member there, allow them to go ahead and have their crit rate increase for that time period, because then it allows Hu Tao to come back in after that and then be able to pop her Paramita Papilio once more and start that rotation again. So that is the supporting capabilities right there within her elemental skill and within her passive. Now I did mention her constellations, and once again, this is if you decide to go ahead and take her to this point, which I don't recommend, and I don't believe it's going to be necessary whatsoever. But if you wanted to, I wanted to mention this as well. The Garden of Eternal Rest, which is her C4. So there right off the bat is you have to go deep for Hu Tao to get this one, which once again, I don't believe this constellation is necessary at all. But upon defeating an enemy affected by the Blood Blossom that Hu Tao applied herself, all nearby allies in the party, excluding Hu Tao herself once more, will have their crit rate increased by 12% for 15 seconds. So this actually applies the crit rate to the allies for even longer, just in case you have them out there for a little bit longer than you wanted to and you weren't able to switch out within that time period of her passive. Well, then you have that crit rate for a little bit longer. Once again, this constellation is not all that great. I think it's one of her more lackluster constellation in regards to the other ones. But nonetheless, it's still something that's there that supports the rest of the team and allows you to switch out of Hu Tao and allow the other party members to at least have their crit rate up by a decent amount for a pretty good time period as well. 15 seconds is nothing to, snuff at. So it's a good amount of time that they're going to have that up. And then once again, once it's over, or once the cooldown's done on the Paramita Papilio, bring Hu Tao back in and allow her to pop that once more, and then go back into those charge attacks, go back into being a extreme powerhouse that she is meant to be. So in this type of aspect, and this is where we're going to go ahead and summarize and tie it all together, with Hu Tao, the reason why she's not a selfish main DPS like Diluc, Xiao, Razor, other main DPSs that are in the game, is that she has reasons to rotate out to be able to use your other team members, unlike the other ones. She has supporting capability within her passive and constellations, if you so go that far, to be able to utilize for the other team members that the others do not. And she's able to go ahead and utilize the other team members in that aspect to be able to do some damage, apply some elemental reactions, and then to switch her back in once the cooldown's done, and then allow her to go ahead and be able to do some more damage. She also has supporting capabilities for herself, being able to regen some health, so you don't really have to utilize another team member for that specifically. Something that I just wanted to throw in as a mention on her ultimate, so she's self-sufficient that way. But Hu Tao is going to be an amazing main DPS that is not a selfish one like we're used to with most characters. Once again, being a selfish main DPS is not inherently a bad thing, because main DPSs are supposed to be that, and that is their job, and that's what they're supposed to do, like I mentioned earlier. There's nothing wrong with that, and that's what you're going to utilize them for in the long run. But with Hu Tao, because she's so different in her gameplay and her kit, she doesn't have that selfish aspect to her. Now, can she? Of course. But if you utilize her kit properly, if you use her optimally, she has supporting capabilities and she has rotation abilities. So Hu Tao is absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait for her to drop in the game, obviously. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope this video helped, and I wanted to make this video because I know there were some people that were confused on Hu Tao and wondering if she is a selfish main DPS or not like the others. And so I felt the need to make this video to go ahead and give you guys an idea that she's not, and to provide you some additional information on the reasons why I don't believe she's going to be. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you liked what you saw. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. And until next time, my boys, until next time, it's your homie Cody GT, and I'm out. Bye, guys.